Welcome back, and let's continue our conversations now on the security situation in the country. And being joined on the program by retired Group Captain Sadiq Garba Shehu, who joins us from Abuja. Group Captain, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Tell me how worried you are by the deteriorating security situation, especially around the Federal Capital Territory. Could we link this to the recent jailbreak we saw around at the Kuje Correctional Facility?
Well, thank you very much. Worried, or rather concerned, I would rather say I'm concerned. And whenever there is a security situation which already has led to loss of lives, any reasonable person will have to be concerned. But worried, as in the, the way that media and other people are carrying it. There is panic in Abuja. People are worried. Legislators have closed shop and run away. I am not worried to that extent. This is due to the fact that terrorists, by their nature, terror, the word terror itself, that is fear, is their instrument of operation. They always like to cause fear far out of proportion to the capacity of what they can do. With regards to them coming into Abuja, while in the security you cannot discountenance anything, but there is something that is probable, and there is something that is possible, and like what people said, they said impossible probability. I would say it is an impossible probability. Abuja is the federal capital of Nigeria, and it is not lost on government or on the security forces the significance, the symbolism of Abuja. And I think even the terrorists that are making forays on the outskirts of Abuja, including the Kuje prison and the attack on other outskirts of the capital city, they are not unaware of the logistic, operational capacity that they would need to take on the city itself. However, they are also wise enough to know that if they could show that Abuja, the federal capital of Nigeria, can be attempted, they know, the result that will send in terms of fear, in terms of international uproar, in terms of national concern. So that's what they are doing. So what I see happening is a concern, but I am not worried to the extent of saying that, because I am in Abuja right now. I didn't see, of course, people are discussing it, because normal human beings have to discuss everything, like they will discuss the weather, they will also discuss what is happening, but I didn't see the panic or the hysteria that I'm reading in papers and other media. I didn't see that. That is my
you would think this fear is probably what has driven the opposition lawmakers to demand the impeachment of the president?
Well, I am not a politician. I am a security and defense analyst. What I know is that whenever, but again, there's intersection, because even the war itself is a continuation of politics. When there is when there is a crisis or when there is a concern about security, it is an opportunity for many people depending on their interest. A politician of whatever party, a security or a big economic depression is always an opportunity to buy into the sympathy of voters, whether for or against. So here again, I will call on our media to be, because the media, they are the watchdog. You should interrogate any politicians who stay in Abuja, who is given, unfortunately, I saw a senator saying that we should evacuate Abuja. Abuja is dangerous. This is not what I expect from a responsible political office holder. Even if Abuja is on attack, I expect somebody who is a politician, who is holding a responsibility, who is a national. In fact, that is the time for you to stay in Abuja. For the simple reason, you have to give the people that elected you some form of assurance, some form of confidence, not to spread panic among them. And with due respect, we are in a democracy. There's a difference between democracy and military regime in terms of responsibility for ensuring security. We say in general that the purpose of government is to ensure security. That is true, but who forms government? There are three branches of government: the executive, the legislature. In a military regime, where the military is the executive, is the legislature, is the judiciary, you are right to hold the executive branch or the military head of state solely responsible for security. But it is not so in democracy. If the military is failing, if the police is failing, if the intelligence is failing, it is a shared responsibility between the executive branch and the legislative branch. There is no power over security or defense issues that the Constitution under a democracy gave Mr. President as Commander-in-Chief, that it did not give a counterbalance power to the legislature, either to check or to investigate or to correct. I think if you're looking at all the powers, is it releasing money? Is it checking what they did with the money? Is it seeing how the security services are managed? Wherever the president has a power,
but
the National Assembly
the president is
probably
still
the only
anyway.
power that the president has over them is in the appointment of service chiefs and IGP. Even in that, the Constitution has given the National Assembly the right. The only thing the right don't have is they don't say, I appoint Mr. X or I recommend Mr. X. But when president has made his appointment, the National Assembly have the right to do background investigation and say this Mr. X or General X or IGP X that president brought is not fit for purpose and we are not going to approve him. I didn't see our legislators doing that. They come and tell them, take a bow and go, and then later they will be shouting, we have passed vote of no confidence. But you are not powerless. What I am saying, I am not defending the executive. What I am saying, if there is failure, the two branches share that failure. If there is success, they also share it. And we should not take it that the legislators who are demonstrating now that they are powerless, they cannot do anything. They are not powerless. They have the power of the purse.
Part of the reasons why everyone looks up to the president is because he's the commander-in-chief.
No doubt about that. Section 27 of the Nigerian Constitution, I am not a lawyer, but wherever law intersects with security, I make it my business. Section 27 gave the power of commander-in-chief to the president for operational utilization of the armed forces. But what it says is that there is a section in the Constitution which says whatever powers that the president would exercise as his, in his role as commander-in-chief is with the concurrence of the National Assembly. So yes, I agree. I said, like I said, he is the commander-in-chief. He proposes appointment, they agree. How the military, how the police is funded, whether they do their work or not, both the executive and the legislature, they have a right to not only approve money, because what I see our legislators doing, if at all they are doing it, they give money, but they don't follow up. The executive also maybe, they give money, they don't follow up. In terms of Naira and Kobo, I will say without equivocation that the Buhari administration, in terms of Naira and Kobo, in terms of dollars and pennies, I think you would probably not have any government that has spent more money than this government. And it is reasonable because this is the government that has been the most security challenged. However, the question, like I say in several fora, is if you give money and you don't follow the money to see what is done, you are not going to get results. And who is responsible for following the money? The executive under the various ministries, whether it is Ministry of Police, Ministry of Defense, they are supposed to do the oversight on behalf of the executive. But at the same time, whether they do it or not, the legislators are supposed to follow up and see what is the money. But what do we find? We have to interrogate the National Assembly. Are they doing their work? Are they releasing the monies as at one due? Are there no members of the National Assembly that are going behind to insert projects that have nothing to do with security in the budget? Are there no National Assembly members that are not twisting the security agencies to give them a share of the budget? I'm only asking. I didn't say I know, but we should ask. We should have an honest discussion. It is only when a legislator does that. It is only when he threatens the service chiefs or the inspector general to give result and they didn't do. It is only when he threatens not to approve budget based on low performance and it is not done. I think that will be the right time for you to come and say, now you are protesting. But it's not even in protesting. You have the constitutional, you have the legislative means. You don't need, in fact, it's just a show for the cameras. You don't need to come and protest in front of cameras. You have all the legal means, the constitutional means, the legislative means. If your hands are clean to really bring, let them tell us how much they are giving the armed forces. There's nothing. It is only in Nigeria that we say armed forces defense or security defense is secret. There's nothing secret there. It is taxpayers' money. Let's put the legislators, let's put the service chiefs, let's put the executive branch on one table and ask them, the monies we are seeing, is that really what is going into operations? If military and security divert the money and do something different from what was approved, the legislator ought to check them. But you will not be able to check. If I approve your budget, I made some insertions inside, I collected something back from you, definitely I cannot come and do any oversight. Oversight function is very important because the legislators, more than even the executive branch, they are supposed to protect taxpayers' money. We pay, it is taxpayers that pay for these things. What is your work? Is to ensure that it is used for, it is done. Every naira, every kobo must be accounted for. But like I said, if you are not doing your well, if you are part of the collusion, if you are part of insertion of budgets, there we are at war.
Look, the National Assembly has, budgets brought to the National Assembly, passed for the military. We've bought a lot of equipment for our security forces. We got the Super Tucanos. Just the other day, we had about six is it helicopter gunships or 6 fighter jets now are coming in from Turkey. Maybe they are here now. We've bought equipment, we've bought weapons, and just a couple of weeks ago, about 5,000 or so recruits graduated from the depot and they were absorbed into the army. And just a couple of weeks ago, too, close to 10,000 new recruits were absorbed into the police force. So what exactly is the challenge? I know we don't have enough in terms of manpower and equipment, but with what we have, shouldn't we be able to deal with the current security challenge we're faced with?
Well, since you have already identified lack of manpower, I should not dwell on it. Certainly there is lack of manpower. Some people parry this question of lack of manpower. They will tell you that what you need is technology. The two are two different things. You don't mix mangoes with oranges. Whatever technology you have in security, there are certain tasks that you need people on the ground.
Sure.
For example, there's no technology that can hold ground for you. No matter the amount of technology, finally holding ground in Maiduguri or in Yola so that the inhabitants of that place are comfortable, are confident enough. You cannot go and tell them, I have put technology. You can return. True. Boko Haram will not come. They need to see soldiers. They need to see policemen there on the ground. So that is one aspect. Equipment. Yes, again, I said this government has done enough, but still, when you say equipment, there is different kinds of equipment. What you or a casual observer will see is APCs. They have bought APCs. But have we done enough interrogation? The APC, when you say APC, let me just give a simple example. There are APCs that you need with tracked wheels. There are the ones you need with tires. If what the military needs is APC with tracked wheels, and you go and buy the one with tires, yet you have spent money, people will see them on TV, there are many of them, but they are not useful to the military. I don't think we're doing that. I'm just giving an example. The other issue is issue of oversight. It's oversight. Americans have a saying with regarding defense. They say in defense or in security, what matters is not how big or how large your budget is how you spend it. 1st April this year, if I recall, there is one Honorable Chaha from Borno, a first-time National Assembly member. His video is there on YouTube. If you listen to where you have a breakdown of the budget we do for the military, how much goes into overhead, into buildings, into paying salaries, and what remains, I think he gave a figure of over 70%. That is what is being done for this. So, you see, in terms of numbers and figures, you will see a very big figure. But how is it spent? That is the issue. And see, that's what we are not checking. And then the issue of even how we manage or how we run our military or security agencies. With due respect, we are still suffering from our days of military regime. In all the places where we borrowed security, the issue of police or the issue of military is being run exactly like you run Ministry of Health or Ministry of Finance. What does that mean? It means the president and commander-in-chief, because he has an overall responsibility, he takes a trusted person and gives him the ministry to run. With due respect now, I will not be able to say from what I see on the ground whether the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Police, whether they really have a hold on the people they are supposed to be. And like I said, let's face reality. It is as a result of our mentality of military regime. In military regime, because it's a regime of a coup, the president or the head of state, I used to call him that time, he wants to have the army chief, the air force chief, the navy chief near him. He doesn't want to put anybody between him and those people because of fear of coup. But I think now, even though we love calling our democracy young, it's no longer young. We should oversee that, because the president himself is president for agriculture, is president for health, is president for works. He has so many things to do. If he does not trust the running of the military to a capable person, he will not really understand what is happening within the military. This is my honest opinion, that there is no honest conversation between the commander-in-chief, the service chiefs, and also the National Assembly members that are playing their own game. You will wonder how, at a time when the country is at war now for 10 years, you will bring a military budget that will pass through the executive and pass through the legislature, and then it will end up with about 80% of the budget going for overhead. A large chunk of the budget going for building universities. A large chunk of the budget building hotels and guest houses. Are we serious? Are we serious? How is it this budget passes? Even if you put a secondary school guy, he will tell you, for a country at war, you don't need to put emphasis on military universities. I'm not saying I'm a graduate of a university. I'm not saying a university is not important, but there is prioritization. At a time when we have a senator saying our troops don't have rifles, the same senator was part of a senate that passed a budget to go and build a university for billions of naira. Who is fooling who?
That's a strong point.
So the failure we are having is multi-purpose. The executive branch have a fault of not following up and proper oversight, of not punishing where failure is there. The legislative branch, they also have a failure of oversight. There are also, rumors, or I can say innuendos of some hanky-panky going on, got to releasing finances, and then you'll come and wring your hand and say it's impossible. And then finally, I will put them even at the bottom order, because the first two who are supposed to oversight them are not working. Of course, there's the problem within the security services, whether it is police, whether it is military. They don't do that. Of course, they will have no fear. Like I said, if I have seen the chairman of my committee and I have settled him, I don't care whether he comes for oversight. His oversight is just to come and shake hands and take pictures and mount guard. Civilians, they like that. Mount guard of honor for them. He will go and show his wife. That is just what happens. If you ask, I have had asked, without naming names, I have had asked to ask a whole House of Representatives member that, as a member, sir, do you know how many officers and men are in the Nigerian Army? He told me honestly he doesn't know. So if a member of House of Representatives Committee on the Army does not know the number of officers, of men in the Army, then what is he budgeting? What is he oversighting? If you go to a battalion, ask any legislator, what is he checking? Does he know the equipment that a battalion is supposed to have? Does he know the number of officers and men that are supposed to? That's just what, you are not going to check buildings. You are checking, does this battalion have a gap? So that you include it in the next budgeting. Do they know? Do they care? They don't. So the fault can be spread all over. And I come back to the press. The press, when you read the papers since the last attack on, a team from the Brigade of Guards, the press are not also helping matters. You hear them giving outlandish claims, sending fear into the society, and in other words, working into the hands of terrorists by showing as if tomorrow Abuja will fall. as if tomorrow terrorists will enter they will enter Asorok. It is not as that. I am not saying there is no room for concern, but the way our press are propagating this thing, again with politicians who want to make a grain out of it, after they have failed to do their duty, it is very, very unethical.
Well,
all over the world, I do offer, I am part of the teaching staff in the European Center for Security Studies in Germany. There's a course they call Terrorism and Security Studies. In that course, there's an element of media and counterterrorism. And the teaching all over the world is that you should not glorify terrorist acts. You don't come and say, for example, the terrorists, they came out in like special forces and then dazed our military. You don't do that. That is irresponsible. Yes, as journalists will always, I'm also a student, I've been a spokesman for the Nigerian Air Force, I've done some media studies, so a journalist will always tell you the public have the right to know. But that right to know should always be balanced with the need to know and also responsibility. You are forgetting that these terrorists, they killed an officer. That officer has wife and children. Your emphasis should be on the harm that the terrorists are doing on the victims, not trying to glorify them.
I understand you.
A responsible media, even when you get, I know there's competition of being faced with the news, but sometimes even when you have a news, if you think the public knowing will cause more harm than good all over the world, even CNN, sometimes they are told by the United States government, please, you have this news, but keep it. Now, after having said that, I see the problem now with the Minister of Communication with the newspaper houses. I will recommend, humbly, in my own humble way, that what you need to do is to train or to sensitize our media. Some are doing it out of mischief. Some are doing it because they are aligned to one party or the other, but some are doing it out of ignorance. You have to teach them how they handle issues with security and counterterrorism. And the best practice is self-regulation rather than censure. I don't like the censure that the government wants to do. Try and get their buy-in. Explain to them. It's something that can be easily explained. Why you should not just put a story out there that shows as if you are, you know, brandishing the terrorists.
I'm afraid, group captain, we just have to leave it there.
I would have liked to see, for example,
we have to leave it there, group captain.
Going to the house of that
lieutenant of captain very much for
and
your
interviewing his wife. How do you feel now?
Unfortunately,
Group
captain, I'm afraid we'll just have to leave it there.
Well, that's group captain, I am telling you.
Sadiq Garbashe, who of course joined us from Abuja. Quite a deep one there, I must say. But that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.